Howdy, y'all. Welcome to another episode of Card Blitz. I'm your host, Kelly Reed, and I'm joined by a special guest tonight. It's none other than Tony from Tony Talks Cards. Tony, how you doing?
Hey, Kelly, I'm having a great night. Thanks for inviting me. I'm glad this day and time worked out for us. Look forward to our chat too.
Oh, definitely. I was gonna say, you mentioned in the past about Arizona being a little warm, and here in Dallas, it's starting to pick up to triple digits. I know that's something like what you guys are going through, but it's feeling a little bit toasty down here.
Yeah, they always say it's a dry heat, right? 115 is a dry heat, but we've got times where it's about 100 degrees and really humid, like July through September. So we're kind of like Texas, not as bad, but we like our dry heat the other rest of the year.
I was gonna say, I imagine probably, just like here in Dallas, a lot of homes probably have swimming pools, and kids and families are spending a lot of time at the pool, right?
In the pool or going to movies, in your car, air conditioning on, in your house, going to the mall. Things that can have air blowing in your face, as much as you can. At night, the AC is always on, but pools are, not everybody has them, but if you do have them, you spend a lot of time in them for sure. Yeah.
Definitely. Or find a friend who has one and then go visit, right?
Yes, friends are important. Yes.
Well, I was gonna ask, did you have a chance to catch up with today's World Cup game between Argentina and England?
I saw it was on. My son watched it. He was home for summer break, of course, between football practice and sleeping in and hanging around the house. So I saw and heard the last few minutes. Was it the last part of the game was just crazy? They came back and won Argentina. So yeah, pretty exciting, it sounds like.
Definitely. Well, I've got a show and tell to kind of go with that, but
Okay.
you're the guest, so why don't we just jump into some show and tell, man? You got a card or two you want to share with us?
Yeah, I appreciate how you teed it up. A couple of cards. They don't have to be high price, low price, whatever kind of makes sense to you. So I pulled out some cards that kind of go to almost my origin story a little bit, two of the cards at least. And one's the one I picked about a year ago that goes to my favorite team, the Cubs, right here. So the first one is I've never showed on the channel, my channel before, and it's a basketball card. I grew up in Tucson, Arizona, about an hour and a half south of Phoenix, but University of Arizona, the Wildcats are down there. They've been really good in terms of college basketball for about 40 years. And when I was in second grade, I got this police issued set of cards of all the U of A players back in 87, 88. And this guy has been gone on to do a couple things since playing with the Wildcats. This is Steve Kerr as a senior at the University of Arizona. Of course, he played for many teams, my Chicago Bulls as well, when they won the championships in the late 90s. And he signed this at my grade school. You can't see the signature that well because it's pretty light and the pen was about to kind of die on him. But he signed it at my school in probably 1987. Of course, went on to coach and has other things he's been doing too in the NBA, of course. But this is a fun thing I remember collecting and having as a kid back in 87, 88, as probably a second grader.
Tony,
So
man, that is awesome. And you got a chance to meet him when you were a kid. I'm sure he looked like a giant to you back in the day, right?
I mean, I'm in my mid 40s. He would have been probably 22. So I'm like, man, he was half my age back. It's just the numbers kind of work weird, can go weird with your brain right there. But yeah, he came to our class, signed 30 autographs, went to probably some other school after that between classes his senior year. And I wish the pen was a bit darker, but yeah, I was a U of A Wildcat fan growing up because that was the only really game in town. Literally, there was no Arizona Cardinals back at that time. We had no pro franchise. The Diamondbacks came 10 years later up in Phoenix. But again, we had the Suns, but they were also 2 hours away in Phoenix, and I was more of a college basketball fan back then. So that brings back some early memories right there for me.
Very cool.
Yeah, thanks.
Well,
Should I
I'll
keep
show
going
one
down, or
off.
you want to show one too then?
Yeah, I'll show one off.
Yeah, let's do that.
I don't know if you were collecting back in the mid 90s, but
I was.
I got the last card I need for my insert set of Mickey Mantle here.
Okay.
I have all 19 of these reprints.
Wow.
And I remember, in the mid 90s, like I lived over in Taiwan at that time. And so for me, the chance to get Mickey Mantle cards, that was it through the tops,
Yeah.
wax packs over there. And then, started collecting those inserts. And I said to myself, hey, I'm going to complete this insert. It only took me, what, like 30 years later to finish it up. But, I've got that. And, the wonderful keepsakes that they take me back to that time when I lived in Taiwan.
That's cool. Yeah, I stopped collecting probably in 1994, 95. I was always a Topps guy. And at that point, there just got to be so many other sets being issued. I wanted to keep up with all of them. But right, I couldn't, you can't buy that much to keep up with all they were producing back then. Focus on tops, got to high school, saving for a car, college, it kind of like took precedence after cards, and I kind of stopped at 95. So stuff 95 and after is all new to me. I haven't seen half this stuff being, despite it being 30 years old. It's all like, wow, that was made after I stopped collecting. That's a cool card. I was too old to have gotten that card in a pack. I should have been younger to buy that card, right? So it's cool to see new stuff. Well, retro slash old stuff, I guess, that was new to
Right.
me now.
30 years ago kind of stuff, which is
Yeah, and it just really
vintage
cool.
in a sense, but
Yeah, shiny stuff. Mine was not shiny when I stopped collecting, but now there's shiny stuff that came out after that. There's refractors and things like that I never got into. So it's cool to see that stuff. Yeah.
well, how about you, man? You got another card or two?
Yeah, this I got two more. This one came around the same time as my U of A card. I was always a football fan at my core. Loved football. The Bears were my team from the very beginning. Never lived in Chicago, but just always liked the Bears. Probably Super Bowl 20 added to that mystique of collecting the Bears, Peyton, McMahon, guys like that. And this is a 1986 Topps Jim McMahon. I had his jersey, his helmet. I just loved him as a quarterback. Again, won Super Bowl 20. But this was the original card I got to complete my set in probably 1987. It's still in the binder, the same old brittle pages from 1987. But this was the last card I needed to complete the set when I built it kind of from pack to pack, single to single back as a third grader, something like that. So I still pulled that out, and it's the original card I got back then. So
Man, that is awesome. And you completed the set. And,
yeah,
I don't know. Lots of YouTubers are kind of talking about, set building. Is it a dying art? And do people still, is completionism dead? And here I am
yeah,
completing an insert set. You're completing, that
yeah,
86 Topps football set. And, Jim McMahon, I remember like the sunglasses and the
yep,
videos and
yep.
rage in the mid 80s of all that Chicago stuff, man. That was greatness back then.
Yeah, everything was about completing sets for me back then. I mean, if opened a pack and got a Ken Griffey Jr. a baseball pack, I was like, cool, that fits in this slot in the 9 page binder. I didn't care versus him versus another common. I just wanted the set complete. Now I
Hmm.
cared about him as a good player, but I wasn't opening to find certain players, even my Cubs. It was opening to complete sets. And that was as I was, a 9, 10, 11, 13-year-old, right? Now it's a little more daunting to complete some of those older sets because they're so expensive, right? But I still have that gene of caring to complete a run, a set, some finality to some. I still like that in some ways, but haven't pursued a vintage baseball or football set in a long time though. But I still like that stuff.
Well, let me ask you this, Tony. So, third grade, you're like 9 or 10 years old.
Hmm.
Were you aware of, like, hey, there's 396 cards in this thing and I need to get all 396? Or was that something that was taught to you about completing a set? When did you become like focused and aware of set building?
I don't know. It's probably goes to what my job is now. I'm an accountant. I'm a CPA. I like kind of having nice bows wrapped around numbers and reports, things like that. But back then they always had checklist cards for tops and other, right? So you can see the checklist was like 300 cards. Okay, I usually had to check off the checklist when I got each card in the set. It just kind of felt like I was completing a task. I was kind of done with a project. On to the next set, the next year, the next pro set, score, tops, whatever came out next, right? So I open packs and put my doubles and triples aside. Maybe go to trade them to buy the single I need at the local card shop to get that set in the binder complete, in the box complete. I just kind of liked having a bow on things, I think, for some reason. So, and others like couldn't care less and wanted their favorite team, their star, and that's cool as well. I just never got into that kind of mentality of doing. I'm not sure where that came from, but
But the
yeah,
fact that you are aware, even at that young age,
yeah,
man, kudos to you because for someone
yeah,
like me, I had to wait till I was like in my college years to figure out, oh, snap. You mean I can actually, there's a beginning and an ending to these things,
yeah.
and I can organize them by sets, not by teams. So,
I think the Beckett price guide probably helped seeing someone would list every single card out, at least the ones that were more than a few pennies. You could see it was 1 to 396. Commas were priced here, stars here, and you kind of could like see what it entailed, how much it would cost to buy with based on the Beckett prices. So having that monthly guide just kind of maybe helped me as a catalog, a little guide to help finishing those sets, knowing what I had to the mountain to climb to put the set together, so to say. Yeah.
I was gonna say when I kind of stepped away from card collecting in fifth grade, there was no Beckett back then. And then when in
Mhm.
college, whenever I kind of got back into it, yeah, this is, oh, like I said, there's some numbers and finality to this. So,
Yeah.
like I said, the fact that 10 years before I got back in the hobby, you were aware of like, hey, there's checklists and sets, and kudos.
Yeah.
Congrats, man.
And here I am, a CPA and accountant working with numbers, and it kind of probably has a through line of like why that's what I do right now, but it's fun to look back at that. So good question. I like that.
That's awesome, man. For my second card, for show and
Yeah.
tell, very affordable, Tom Seaver card here. And
Yep.
the thing that kind of caught my eye was on the baseball here, says O-Pee-Chee.
Yep. That's
But
right.
obviously, whenever you flip it over to the back, you can see like the font color's different, much brighter.
Okay.
And so that's how a lot of folks could differentiate it. But, I was today years old when I noticed, oh, there's a little baseball here that says O-Pee-Chee. And then it got me thinking about Tom Seaver and iconic
Yep.
cards. And then I started thinking about like, O-Pee-Chee sets. Do people, how difficult would it be to complete like a 79 O-Pee-Chee baseball set?
Yeah.
Just kind of curious. So,
I never knew about those cards. I was more of a football guy. And football, I don't think had O-Pee-Chees. I could be wrong about that. I know baseball had more of a long number of years of those being issued, but I never got into those things ever. I knew they existed, but not having the Topps logo, right, but have the O-Pee-Chee logo there would be, I guess, the way to differentiate it. Besides, maybe there was some may have had what, French on the
right.
back, I want
French
to
on the
say.
back.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, that's
But
a
up
new
in
addition.
Canada, with the Canadian Football League, I think that probably took
Mhm.
precedent for them over the
Yeah.
NFL back then.
They had some of those in the 60s and 50s. I remember seeing them in price guides. Never saw those, never held one or owned one, but yeah, that is correct.
That
Mhm.
makes two of us. All
Yeah.
right, third card, show and tell what you got.
All right. Third card, I did bring up a little more of a bigger card here. It's one that kind of goes with my Cubs shirt I have on here. Let me see if I can make sure it's going to come across okay when I show this. Speaking of set and completions and kind of finishing runs of things, I don't do vintage sets right now yet, at least, but I got this a year ago, and this is my Ernie Banks rookie card. So I do have an Ernie Banks run completed. Again, it's 19 basic tops cards in Bowman. It's not 792 cards like some of the baseball sets are in the 80s or lesser in football, right? So I do like some of that run completion there. And I like this because it's got some tape on the bottom right here, which gave it the one grade it got. But the tape kind of looks like his foot's in some dust and some dirt by home plate. It's kind of the way I think about it to kind of make more sense to me. And again,
Ernie
uh,
at the plate.
the one gave it the price tag I could afford at the time about a year ago. And so this is one I like to show. And I know you did a red, white, blue episode a couple of weeks or so ago with July 4th. Again, the Cubs have that nice red, white, and blue logo or color scheme as well. So I got to show that too. So
Ernie Banks, one thing that I learned a couple of years ago was where he was born and raised
in Texas, right?
in Dallas.
In Dallas. Okay. Yeah.
And the only reason why I know about that is I was looking through my uncle's 1956 top set.
Okay.
And yeah, I was looking at that 56 Banks card. I flipped it over. I'm like, born January, home
Yep.
Dallas.
Does Dallas, Texas on this one too. It says in the back here. So yep, that's cool.
That's the connection, man. Little Ernie
Good to
Banks
have some
action, man.
hometown people you can collect, root for, collect, another way to connect people. It's cool. Yeah.
Definitely for Mr. Cub there.
Yeah.
Well, circling back to soccer
Yeah.
and put the bow on top, as you would say, or tie it in a knot. Uh, I saw this card. This is a
Oh, okay.
65 Pele. It's a
Never
Panini.
seen that card. That's cool.
And so, yeah, man, I'm only to show this like probably once every 4 years, World Cup time. But
Yeah, yeah.
it got me to thinking though with Messi, he's got a chance of earning another like World Cup title. Will the Messi Pele debates begin, or maybe they've already begun?
Yep.
It's just kind of want to get your thoughts. Are you aware of like Messi's like run in soccer and Pele? Is that something you grew up watching, or is that something that as you got older kind of got into the World Cup?
Yeah, I think I knew about it every 4 years, like the Olympics, but never really got into like knowing the history of who the better players were. I would watch ESPN documentaries about people once in a while, or you said Pele to me 30 years ago, I would have known he was a soccer player. May not know the country he played for, but knew he was a big soccer name. But every 4 years I kind of remember things, watch like the flags and who's playing for who, what countries are in the brackets, things like that. But it's probably one of the sports I know the least about history wise. Me and my kids all played soccer growing up. It's like they just kick the ball. I was a fullback. I was not very fast, not very skilled at all. I knew that from my own perspective, but some players, of course, many players are much better than I was. But I'll watch them on TV and see the games and just athleticism. I just never had that, so I can appreciate that in players. Don't know much about the history and the who would be the top five or how many championships people. I couldn't tell you that probably off the top of my head. Yeah.
Right, but yeah, just the two things that kind of come to mind with World Cup right now and Pele, Messi argument, like you said, that's one. But another one is after the World Cup, will soccer cards, will they kind of go on the decline? Or,
Hmm.
I wonder if in the hobby, are there enough collectors now to kind of keep prices bolstered for those, star players, like your Mbappe's and your
Yeah.
Kane and your Jude Bellinghams, and I wonder.
Been cool to learn about them and see them play. They're crazy good athletes. I'd imagine if they play in a city in the US that you happen to live nearby, you may hear about them more often. Or if you're in Europe, you may know a lot more about them than I do here. In Phoenix, we have a MLS team, but I never watched them play, but I'm not in Miami. I'm not seeing Messi play all the time or collecting his cars, but it has a following, I'm sure, that may be growing. That wouldn't surprise me. Mhm.
Yeah, the other thing I was thinking is like Pokemon 30 years later, hottest thing on the planet. Well, when will
Yeah,
but soccer, is that on that same kind of trajectory, or is something like this going to be considered like super old school, a 65, soccer card?
yeah. I think people weren't probably collecting soccer cards. Maybe they were not where I was living or not living then, but 60 years ago. Maybe some people were, but not probably the masses of the United
Maybe
States
in
population.
Europe and maybe South America, Central
Yeah,
America, that would make
yeah.
sense.
And those cars may still be over there and not in the US. And so it's like, are they rare? Can you even buy them? What do they cost? Are they in good condition? So yeah, different kind of ecosystem of those cards for sure.
Yeah,
Didn't think
and a
about
whole
that.
other learning curve for us collectors, right? If
Yeah.
that route.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's fun to see people learn about them, and maybe the Olympics will see more of them in a couple years in Los Angeles when they come to LA in the US. So probably more spike of interest then, maybe too. But definitely we'll watch the finals here. Is it next week, maybe? The World Cup final
That'll be Saturday. Will be the third, fourth place game, and then Sunday is first, second with Argentina against Spain.
on Sunday. Okay, cool.
Sunday, 2 o'clock Central. I think noon out
Noon
west.
hour time. Yeah, yeah, definitely watch that for sure. Yeah, I'll catch that.
Well, you mentioned Olympics, and so here at CardBlitz, we like to celebrate birthdays, and the birthday person for today did participate in the Olympics, uh,
Okay.
and actually won a gold medal in let's see, in 2009. Oh, sorry, 2008. My bad. 2008, over in Beijing. This person was born in South Korea. This person's a lefty. This person played for the Braves and the Reds during his MLB career. Uh, he's done a couple of things I haven't done. He taught a model named Jessica Gomes how to like throw a baseball.
Hmm.
She's kind of a famous model.
Okay.
Like I said, he won a gold medal and he's pitched in MLB, and I haven't done those things. But he's represented here by this 2003 Topps baseball card.
Oh,
Now,
neat.
this Topps baseball card, for its name, Mr. Puffer, Mr. Bong, obviously there's a story behind this card. And folks, you guys can look this up on your own time,
Yep.
that you might get some references here. But yeah, Mr. Pong turns 46 years old today. So
Okay.
happy birthday to him. And if he wants to join Tony and I and talk cards, you're welcome to it.
That'd be fun. Yeah, bring me back. That'd be good.
Well, let's get back more into like your collecting journey and your origin
Yeah.
story. And you mentioned growing up out west in Arizona and becoming a Cubs fan, a Bears fan, a Bulls fan.
Yep.
How'd that begin?
That's a story. Yeah, no, growing up in Tucson, Arizona, specifically, we didn't have any franchises. We had the Suns were in Phoenix, but Tucson itself only had the college. And I think the first game I ever watched football wise was Sunday morning. It was the Bears game, a Bears game. They just beaten the Patriots Super Bowl 20. The Bears won the game, and I'm like, as a 6-year-old, thinking, I must like the Bears. They won the game. I have no other allegiance to some Arizona team. I didn't grow up in New York, Chicago, Atlanta. I had no natural reason to root for anybody. My parents weren't diehard sports fans. So Bears won, random throw the dice. I'll be a Bears fan. I have been for 40 some years. And we moved. My dad was in the Air Force, so we moved around quite a bit. Never really were in a city that had a professional sports team. They got me hooked on them. We lived overseas for a couple of years. Lived in Louisiana for a couple of years. The Saints were there in New Orleans. I was already a Bears fan, so they couldn't take the place of it. No baseball though. Moved to Utah. No football or baseball. There was basketball there. But when we first got cable in sixth grade, WGN was there along with TBS. And WGN exposed me to the Bulls, the Cubs, and I just became hooked on the Cubs and then the Bulls on WGN. Didn't follow the Braves, despite TBS being on the same cable suite of cable we paid for, but became a Chicago fan, but never ever have lived there. But good job of them advertising on WGN, and they got a fan out of me for 40 some years. And so didn't become a Jazz fan in Utah, but loved when the Bulls beat the Jazz in the playoffs 2 years in a row. That was great in the late 90s. I love that. And then I went to school in Arizona, Utah and Arizona, came back, live in Phoenix right now. So the D-backs, I root for the D-backs because they're the home team, but against the Cubs, I won't. But we have the Cardinals here, of course. We have the Suns. We used to have hockey team. I like them as home state teams. I want them to do well. I've always been a Chicago Bulls, Cubs, and Bears fan. And so cards, I was always a completionist, completing Topps football sets, Score, Fleer, Pro Set. And it got to be where too many were made. I couldn't buy them all with my allowance money and birthday money. I just couldn't keep up. And I'm like, cars looking good. I'm getting a driver's license, do that. And cards kind of went by the wayside. But I kept all my cards from my younger days, all my complete sets and singles and doubles and triples. And then, the car, the college, the job, the dating, the marriage comes into play. And about 18 years ago, I stumbled across this website called eBay, which I had no idea what it even was. I was so out of the loop about what Amazon, eBay was back then.
Was
I
this
looked
like
up
late 90s or turn of the
this
century?
like no late 2000s. I was like late to the eBay Amazon game. And I'm like, these guys sell cards on eBay just like I bought 30 years ago. That's really weird and strange. And then I kind of want to get back into buying cards again and completing sets and buying unopened packs and boxes of cards to open up again. And so last 18 years, more or less consistently, I've been buying something, some more heavy buying times and collecting times, and some were kind of more once every few months, not a big focus of mine, but gotten back into a lot more heavily the last probably, I'd say 4 years. I jumped on YouTube about a year and maybe 9 months ago, give or take. And so it kind of is coming ups and down waves. But again, during that junk wax 80s, 90s era, loved all those sets, put them in binders, made all those sets, completed them all, but also loved vintage football back in the time too. So even as a young 10-year-old, I would say, I'm going to go buy some old 1960s Topps cards. I loved having things that smelled old, they looked old, they were,
Well
just different
loved.
types of players. And like who were these guys? The Commons, the Stars. Loved watching NFL highlight reels and films and all those like great players showing Dick Butkus or Gale Sayers and people hitting to people or running to people, having great catches. I loved all that stuff. The history behind sports I've always liked as well. So I've always had a love for vintage and old things, even as a 10-year-old. And I built a bunch of vintage football sets in my 30s and late 30s. Sold them off to do some other kind of things with that money later, about some years ago. But now I'm back into more vintage football and baseball again from a different angle with YouTube now. So I've always had that love of things older than I was, despite not having seen those guys play ever. I just love having things that are older than I am, I guess, with a story and a history. So
Man, that is awesome. And so, as you keep, on your own channel, I noticed like you've gone into the integration aspect of MLB. Do you think that's
yeah.
something you'll do with the NFL integrations, an integration series like that?
Don't get me ideas now. That's that's too many ideas. I would that actually it's a great I hadn't thought about that. And definitely football has lesser of a known story than baseball kind of does, but clearly they had early African Americans in the 40s as well. No one like a Jackie Robinson that's well known as other guys were, but I do have a Kenny Washington card. I have some other cards from players who did break their team's color barrier too. But I hadn't thought about the football ones, but there'd be a good story to tell, lots of stories to tell on those guys if I did pursue that. I just think it's cool to understand players and kind of where they came from, their backgrounds, their histories, and when they played for a year or 20 years. They all have stories. Some cards are really pricey, some cards are pretty cheap. So it's good
Well,
to kind
that's
of
one of the things
collect
I enjoy about your
stories.
channel, though, Tony, is you do a great job of telling the story. And
Oh,
so,
thank you.
like I said, maybe this is something you do down the road and
Yeah.
captivate imaginations and minds and hearts, and we'll all be following you along that journey.
Yeah, it's kept me busy. It's kept me interested in buying cards of players that are not that expensive, some of these guys, but they have great stories, where they were born, what language they spoke, how long their careers were. So I've enjoyed just kind of writing, organizing my thoughts and facts, sharing them on a YouTube channel for 10 or 20 minutes and just seeing where it goes. But appreciate you saying that. Thank you.
Yes, sir. The missus, you've got this vast card collection, I'm assuming. The wife, is she cool with you having all these cards, or do you keep them like in the accounting aspect, nice, neat,
Yeah.
tucked away, or I'm just
It-
curious,
It's
man.
a great question. It's funny. I'm kind of messy in my personal life in terms of like I have stuff everywhere at my desk, cards of stacks of cards I haven't put in the binder yet, cards and envelopes I haven't opened in some cases, which really is sad to say. Things I'm going to sort in 2 months. I haven't gotten around to it yet. But I still have things that are organized for my childhood. I haven't gotten as well organized with my kind of newer things yet. So we have a converted garage. It's a spare bedroom. It's kind of the game room. The kids play video games in there too. And I have kind of a wall of shelves I put stuff in. Some of it's a little more haphazard than I want it to be, but it's a place I put my stuff in right now, and it works for me now. I've got a messy desk, I'll just say that, a messy room I keep my office supplies in. It's like I got to get this thing cleaned. No one can see this. This is gonna topple over at some point. It's not gonna be good. So
Spoken like a true collector.
too many piles. They're all good. I love buying things and like having things. I just got to get better at like pausing to like sort and organize and put things away. And maybe I'm not the only one who has that issue, but that's just me right now.
No, that's what I'm asking because I'm in the same boat. I
Yeah,
think we all are as collectors. So, uh,
yeah.
knock out that task, get to the next one down the
Yeah.
road, to-do list.
I
Uh,
will organize later. Yep.
I wanted to ask you, so have you been to Chicago many times over the years, being a fan of the three sports teams there?
Yeah, so I've been there more frequently to go to the National, kind of funny enough. And I roped in a Cubs game one year for that. I've been to two Cubs games, one Bears game with my wife about 10 years ago, never a Bulls game. And been there to see other friends who have moved there and visited them for a weekend. No card connection, just kind of went there, visited them, kind of flew back, but usually in the summertime. But the one Bears game we saw was in November, and it was freezing cold for me from Arizona. It was just bone chilling cold. It was beautiful sky outside, blue sky, but it was like negative 10 degrees. It was painful for me being an Arizona guy, right? But I enjoyed being there and seeing the Bears play, and that was fun. But mostly been there for the National, actually. Funny enough, I've gone a bunch of times for that.
How many times have you been up there for the National?
So my first National was actually 2013, like 13 years ago or so. And I went there just to go buy stuff for my card room, like vintage football sets and some memorabilia, things like that. So I've been there every 2 years since 2013. Kind of funny enough. So it still was massive back then, but I went last year in 2025. I'm not going this year, but it got even more massive last year too, for sure.
Well, I feel like there's gonna be a future episode where I'm gonna ask you to come back and talk about the National and the tips and tricks. But
Oh
since
yeah,
we're
sure.
running,
That'd be
as
great.
I say, since we're kind of running low on time, thought
Yeah.
I'd go into the fast five with you and ask you five
Excellent.
questions, and just whatever comes top of mind, Tony, just kind of share your thoughts.
Yep.
You ready for question number one?
I hope I am. We'll see.
All right. What is or what would be your go-to karaoke song?
Oh, living on a prayer.
All right, man. Keep it up, man. Living on a prayer.
Yeah.
Next question. Uh, what current fact about Tony right now would wow 5-year-old Tony if y'all were to meet?
Man. I'd probably say having the amount of cards I have. I always wanted to have like every card in existence as a 5-year-old. Knew that would never happen, but man, you have a lot of cards right now, older Tony. Not everything, but you have a lot more than you would have thought you would have had probably. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Favorite dinner dish? Like,
Oh,
you get to choose. Money's not an object. What do
yeah.
you want to eat?
Good steak.
Grilling it up yourself, or do you like to go out to eat that steak?
We do a lot. We have a nice little grill set up in our backyard, so I'll do grill our own for my wife and our two kids, and they give me a hard time about it being too overdone, too raw, not the perfect right way. But I'm trying to get better at it. But home cooking is always good too. I like that.
All right, man. Uh, if you had the magic wand and you could change one thing about the hobby, what would it be?
I wish everything was a lot more cheap so I could buy it all.
Affordable. Yes, that would be
Yeah.
good for all of us,
Every
right?
card was 10 cents. I mean, I couldn't, they'd all be gone. They'd all be bought, right? But I'd love to have just every card ever. That was like my dream. Have every card ever made when I was like 6 years old. Every card in a binder ever made in a big wall and look at them all the time. And yeah, I just would love to do that. Yeah.
And then 5-year-old Tony would still be wild. He'd be like, "Oh my God, look at these cards. They're everywhere."
Yeah. Yeah. Too many binders. Too many binders. Too many stacks. Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, so if you were to go to the pearly gates, assuming you go there, and you
Yep.
were to meet, and you could have your choice of meeting one of two Chicago sports icons, would you like to sit down and talk with Ernie Banks or Walter Payton, and why?
I'm glad you gave me the two because I was like, there's too many to choose from. Who are you going to ask me to think of? I don't know who I'm going to say. So Ernie Banks or Walter Payton? Probably Walter Payton because I saw him actually play. I enjoyed his running style, Super Bowl 20, and just he was more kind of the same time I grew up, I guess, watching football. I'd probably do that. Yeah.
And that would be a special moment, right?
Yeah, that'd be fun. Yeah, so many Chicago greats among other teams having greats too. I'm glad you picked two. I think I don't know who I'm going to talk about. Yeah.
Well, as we're kind of wrapping up, winding things down, I'm going to share your channel, Tony Talks Cards.
Thank you. Yeah.
Is there any other ways for like CardBlitz viewers to like reach out to you, either on like social media of some sort, or what do you recommend?
I have not dove into an Instagram tied to my account, so I would just say hit me up on YouTube. I have an email that's tonytalkscards@gmail.com. And then just YouTube comments. I'll respond back to those there. Some guys have my phone number, but email address and also YouTube comments are my best way to reach me. And yeah, appreciate you sharing my channel.
Well, definitely, Tony, and thank you for coming on board and being a wonderful guest. I look forward to doing this again with you.
We'll talk the national whenever it makes sense. That'd be great, Kelly. Thank you.
That'll work. Have a
All
great
right.
night.
Yeah, we'll see ya. Thank you.